start the show. I think we are live on 3 platforms today. It's good to see you, Tim. How are you doing? Oh, hold on. I don't have your audio working. 1 second. Gotta check audio before the stream starts. Let me see. Oh, wait, 1 second. Sorry, viewers, and sorry, Tim. Very unprofessional, but audio is not always easy. But I know how to fix it is the good thing. There we go. One click. And can you say something for me, Tim?
Of course I can. Yeah, I'm doing fine here. How are you doing?
I am good. We are back. There's a lot of new stuff going on in the stream today for our viewers. I'm using a new plugin. Let me pop it up next to Tim's head there. It is the ATM multi-stream plugin. This isn't exactly my settings, but what it does is it allows me, without using Restream or anything like that, to stream everywhere. So you just click the boxes next to where you want to stream, and it goes directly from your computer. So you need decent bandwidth. But right now we are streaming to LinkedIn, YouTube, and YouTube Shorts, assuming everything is working correctly. I could also stream to TikTok if we get that working. I could stream to Instagram, but keeping it simple, well, relatively simple now with 3. But it looks like we're live everywhere. And if there's any problems with the streams today, I do apologize in advance. But it's good to be here. Good to see you, Tim. How's the last 2 weeks been for you?
Yeah, busy. Yeah, there's been lots going on in the collaboration world, in the unified communications and collaboration world. And of course, we're going to discuss quite a few of those highlights today, aren't we?
Yeah, should we jump right in with Zoom Docs, something that the two of us in particular have been anticipating for quite some time. I have to say, I'm having an issue with it, and it's not a Zoom Docs issue, it's a David issue, because there's some things in life you learn by jumping in the pool. And there's some things you learn by sitting down and reading the manual and figuring out the best way to do it first. Zoom Docs is a jump in the pool, and I'm a read the manual guy. So I keep coming up with these great ideas. Oh, I should use this to track ideas for our live stream. And then I'm like, well, wait a minute. Which template should I use? Which AI assistant, because there's a million ways you could do that. And I've been using Trello for everything, and I learned how to make a Trello looking board in Zoom Docs. So I'm doing that for everything, and it's not the best way to do everything. But I'm finding it's just almost overwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much that you can do in it. There's to-do lists, there's the sort of task capabilities, there's a calendar, there's a Kanban style sort of board that you can do. You can mention people. As we found out, started before we went streaming, within a meeting, I can add a Zoom doc and all the participants can contribute, which is very different from a lot of the solutions out there where you actually have to go into a team channel and then open up something in there. So to be able to capture ideas, ideate, plan, all within a meeting and instantly have everyone collaborate and share that document, to me is really exciting, because you don't get caught up in a different sort of workflow. If David, if you and I decide we're on a meeting, we want to talk about what we're going to contribute in 2 weeks' time on this stream, we can just set up a Zoom doc, and while we're collaborating in a meeting, we can capture those ideas, we can assign tasks, put it down in a calendar. It's all there within the work stream. You don't have to jump out and go into something else. So I think it's very powerful, and I'm really delighted to see how quickly they brought this to market. And no doubt we'll probably be hearing more about that at Perspectives.
Yeah, I'm using it as a brain dump. A lot of times an idea comes into my head, and don't forget that, but I'm in Excel and I'm working in Excel, so I have to remember it before I can get to my to-do list. Or I'm in, whatever, I'm in a Zoom meeting, I'm in something. And if I'm in Zoom, because that's where my meetings are, that's where my chat is, that's where my email is, that's where my calendar is now, and I have one of these ideas, I dump it in a Zoom doc. I have a Zoom doc just for dumping ideas. I'm not good at this, but there's a book I read a long time ago called Getting Things Done. Was that the name of the
Oh
book?
yeah, I've got one of those gathering dust in the on the shelf here. Yeah.
I was religious about it for 2 years. It changed my life, and now I do some of the things. But one of the big things was the brain dump. Your brain's not. It's just not that your brain's not good at it. It's like you can't enjoy life. You're sitting in a movie, and you're like, I got to remember to send that email, and I got to remember to make that call. And if they're written down somewhere, anywhere, I don't have to worry about that. So that's one thing I still remember from that book. And Zoom Docs is a great way. A lot of ways in Zoom Docs to implement that. You could set up a lot of brain dump systems in there.
Yeah, I believe one of the lines from that is the brain's there for having ideas, not for holding ideas. So the
Yes.
idea is to put it all down so that you don't have to worry about it. Well, you don't have to worry about it up here. You obviously have to worry about it on paper or on digital paper. But yeah, it's great, and I think Zoom Docs is a really great way to capture all of that. And what I also like is um, Zoom, I think, has got to challenge marketing its portfolio in some ways because there's so much of it, and we've spoken about that on previous on webcasts. But you've got Teams, you've got chat, you've got meetings, and you've got Zoom Docs, and each have its distinct. There's no blurring of the lines. You know when to use which sort of capability, which was very different, unfortunately, from Microsoft when they came out with this idea of inner and outer loops and how
Mhm.
Yammer or Viva Engage was meant to be your outer loop where you engage with people on a broader scale, and that Teams was actually meant to be used for high velocity communication within your team. You set up a channel, you do your work, and then you tear it down. Unfortunately, you just end up with about 600 different channels, and it's just another way to get annoying notifications as well as email and everything else. And it's very difficult to keep on top of.
Yeah, the whole loops thing never clicked with me. I saw the graphic and my eyes would kind of glaze over and be like, oh. So it wasn't just me?
Yeah. No, certainly wasn't, and it confused a whole load of industry analysts and commentators. But initially this looks really good. Very excited to see it, play with it, and I expect, as I said, more to be heard from Zoom perspectives.
Yeah, I feel like this is I don't know what the expression I'm looking for. Not the tipping point, but it's like a some sort of telltale bellwether. Because what we're trying to figure out is whether people will get the idea of Zoom isn't just meetings, and oh yeah, they also have chat if you like chat, or they have some other things. It's Zoom Workplace now. You live in it all day. It's got all your stuff in it. It's about the synergies between them. We know the message. We've been saying it over and over, but um, we don't know if the world is going to get that yet. And I think Zoom Docs is really kind of that app that's going to really leverage that concept. That's where you're going to bring, like
Yeah.
you said, in a meeting, you start a Zoom Doc and then you use the AI summary from the meeting to start a whatever, start the project, whatever the project may be. Uh, as you're discussing it in the meeting, if that kind of stuff ties it together, then I think the bigger message that Zoom's really concerned about, the whole Zoom Workplace message, will really start to click.
Yeah, and of course, it's very different from the work stream or the workflow that you have with a rival product like Notion, because you start and live in the doc, and then you invite people on a meeting to share the doc, rather than you're on a meeting. Oh, we better take this down. Let's open a doc, and it's instantly shared with everyone. So it's going to be a very interesting space. I call this the sort of co-creation workspace. I've got to think of a jazzier title, I think, but it's all about co-creation. And if you can do that synchronously in a meeting and then contribute asynchronously after the meeting, then that part of that workflow seems natural for me.
Yeah. And this is maybe a silly thing to talk about, but I feel kind of silly about this because I'm used to, Zoom's been big for a while, but when we first knew Zoom, it was the little guy, and we were used to little Zoom fighting against the big guys. And even when Zoom got huge, then they were fighting against Microsoft, which is, even compared to Zoom, is massive, massive. So I'm used to thinking of, I like Zoom's, picking away at the establishment. And now with Zoom Docs, there's some other really little companies that I love that I feel bad because I love Trello. I love Trello so much. If I see them at a convention, I run up to their booth. I'm like, oh my God, it's the Trello people. I love you so much. And I get all their stickers and stuff. I think I'm going to move my Trello boards to Zoom because it just makes sense. And it's business, right? Come on, I got to be productive. I got to have a life. I'm not doing a charity here, but I feel bad. And what's the other one? Calendly. Oh, I love Calendly. Wonderful, wonderful people. I want to give them a hug. I've used them for so many years, but I got Zoom Scheduler now. And as Zoom
Yeah,
keeps adding these things, it really makes sense for Zoom to have them. But there's a little part of me that kind of feels bad for these little guys. But I'm sorry. This is just the way I want to work. I want it all together.
Well, it is, and what you're highlighting there, David, is you're a large IT if you're a large enterprise with an IT organization, a lot of this stuff is shadow IT that flies under the radar. But if Zoom can start adding it to their portfolio in the way that they're doing, then there's no need to do all of that, and people can migrate very quickly onto something that's going to be governed, managed, secured, with all of the bells and whistles that you would get from a alternative product like Notion or Trello, or Calendarly, or any of the others. So they've done a really nice job of rounding off their portfolio in a great way. So
Yeah, I didn't even
hats off
think
to
about
them.
that. Onboarding. If you're onboarding 1,000 new employees and you have to say to all of them, okay, here's your Zoom account, and here's your Notion account, and here's your Trello account, and here's your Calendly account. Um, it's a lot easier to say, here's your Zoom account, well, and your Teams account.
Yeah, and
It's
then
a
use
Zoom and
WorkViva.
Microsoft world now. It's not one or the other anymore.
No, and absolutely, sort of simplify that onboarding experience with WorkVivo as well by Zoom. So it sounds like, I think the challenge will be is how is it all marketed? Because it's very difficult to manage an extensive, very difficult to market an extensive portfolio like that and say, this is a sense of what it all does, because it's so, it's so vast now. So I think that's going to be their challenge, is solutions marketing and telling the whole story, the value of the portfolio.
Yeah, it is a tough challenge. I think we've been kind of hard on Zoom when it comes to Zoom marketing, because people come up to us and they say, what is Zoom Scheduler? We say, oh my God, it's so wonderful. How could you not know? I blame Zoom marketing. They should tell the world about this. Zoom whiteboards. There's not enough people using Zoom
Zoom
whiteboards.
clips.
Zoom
Yeah.
clips. Hello. I mean, it's not just me, and we've been just kind of beating up on Zoom. But how do you market something like that? You can't do a worldwide campaign on during the Super Bowl about Zoom Scheduler. It's not relevant to everyone. You can't send out a big blast to the world. You can't put it on the Tonight Show. Is they still have the Tonight Show? I'm so old. But you know what I'm saying? They can't. That's not how you advertise Zoom Scheduler. So how do you make sure that the people who need, because there are people who need to know who don't know. How do you do that kind of targeted thing? That is
Well,
hard. That's hard.
the way you do it effectively, I think, is a day in the life of. So here's Tim. He's a hybrid worker. He spends some time in the office. He spends some time at home. Let's talk through his daily sort of workflow, and you do it a day in the life of a particular employee or a particular sort of persona. That's probably the best way to get it across.
Yeah, well, the,
Um,
the content they
we'll
can figure,
see.
they have some good content on the YouTube channel, but it's like, it gets 100,000 views. A lot of the right people see it, but it's not, there's millions of people who need to know about this. And
Yeah.
I don't know how you get the message to the right people. It's Zoom is in a unique challenge. Something like overall, like Microsoft Teams as a concept. Yeah, you could put that on the Super Bowl. Something that Zoom is as a thing, but all these little cool things that Zoom does, how do you tell the world about that? It's not easy. Well, hopefully
Yeah.
we can help. We keep talking about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. What else is on the list then, David? What else are we talking about today?
Our next topic, let's spend not too much time on this because this is just a fun one, and the third topic is kind of an important one. But Microsoft Copilot for Windows, I'm getting addicted. I'm talking to other people. I'm talking about it. They're using it. Like, I don't think I have that yet. I'm like, yeah, you do. Like, I don't see it. I'm like, look at your toolbar all the way at the right. See the little swirly pink and blue thing. Like, oh yeah, what's that? How long has that been there? It snuck up on you. Click it. Oh, there's a new app on my desktop. Just start talking to it like it's a person. I'm using it for. I love the concept. Have you heard of rubber duck program debugging?
I haven't. No. Tell me a bit
Oh,
more about that.
you're gonna love this. This is a wonderful concept. There was a guy who worked at a programming. He had a bunch of whatever company, bunch of programmers working under him, and he was the head programmer. He was really smart, knew his stuff. And members of his team would come up to his office because they would get stuck, and he would always be able to figure it out because he's really good. And a lot of times he'd say, "Okay, what's the matter? I have a bug. I can't figure out what's going on. Okay, describe the problem to me. Explain it." And as they were explaining it, they'd go, "Oh, wait a minute. I'll be right back." They would figure it out as they're explaining it. And he was wasting so much time, he got a rubber duck and he put it on the desk. And when programmers would come in, he'd say, "Before you tell me, tell the duck." And they would tell the duck and they would solve it. And I'm using Copilot as my rubber duck. I just need to talk to someone about this. I'm not going to bother my wife about it. I'm not going to bother my colleagues about it. Just a quick question. Am I crazy? Should I do this? Is this what I remember it to be? It just those little questions. When I was an attorney, I had a paralegal. It was a human being right there for those random thoughts during the day. Hold on, was that 1977 or 1986? Just little things. You know, I'm thinking of completely changing the logo. Is that crazy? You just need to say things out loud sometimes, and I'm using it so much. I'm addicted. Have you been playing
Yeah,
with
one
it?
thing yeah, well, I've played with it. Well, our company's lucky enough to be on Copilot trial, and we're looking at onboarding, paying for the subscription. There's things like workflow and Power Automate, which is quite a difficult thing to get your head around. It's almost like you're a pseudo developer, but Copilot will help you. Take this Excel spreadsheet field and map it to SharePoint lists, or do this and make it an iCal, a calendar sort of entry. Or the one thing that I do like about Copilot in Office 365 is the ability for it to summarize a web page. So if you're looking through a press release or something like that, or some breaking news, you can get 3-4 bullet points really quickly. So it's very powerful in a lot of cases. I don't know if it's $30 per user per month powerful. There will be a use case for that for people paying that sort of money. But yeah, I'm pretty impressed with what it can do so far.
Well, I'm just using the free one that everyone gets. That's not tied.
Yeah,
And when you pay for the other ones, it's because they're tied to Outlook or tied to this or tied to that. So I'm just using it as my general purpose little robot friend. And
yeah.
I was giving silly examples of what I do with it, but a great example was 2 days ago. I was meeting with Kevin Keeler, who one of our fellow analysts, great guy. Him and I are doing a presentation in a few weeks at CEDIA. I should be promoting that at the beginning of the stream. I should mention where I'm traveling. I'm going to Denver next month. I'm also going to Oslo next month. Very exciting. I'm going to NEAT's having a summit thing. I'll Sorry, my friends at NEAT. Next live stream I'll explain it much better than NEAT's having a thing. You guys deserve better than that. Uh, but where was I going with that? The presentation with Kevin. I met with him on Zoom. We had to give a presentation. The PowerPoints due. We both love presenting. We both don't love making PowerPoints. And where do we start with this? And I opened up Copilot and I'm sitting here with Kevin. I want to make a 10 deck slide deck on this topic. Give me the titles of the 10 slides. And I read them off to Kevin, and we decided to use 3 of them. And you might think, well,
Mm.
that's not very helpful. Yes, for 10 things, and I gave you 3. It was so helpful because it's like having my little paralegal there. Give me something to start with. It would have taken us a half an hour to come up with the starter list. Give us something bad to work with. And it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't what we wanted. But give us anything to work with. Oh, these 3 are good. We're going to keep those slides. You know what we should have now that I think about it? Slide 6 should be this, 7 should be. We were done. We were
Yeah,
done. It was so wonderful.
yeah. Some great leaps in productivity there, I think.
Fantastic. All right, so moving on to our last topic,
Yeah.
Cisco is announcing another change in structured leadership in their UC space. They've had, you were telling me over the last 10 years, how many?
Oh, I don't know. We have Rowan Trollope, joined in 2014 from Symantec. I remember Rowan, he left in 2018, but I remember Rowan's coining the term Scandifornian, which was the Scandinavian design merged with Californian, Scandinavian technology with Californian design. Um, he initially tried to move Voice Technology Group into Collaboration Technology Group. He tried to move it more of a software-based approach, but then I think he defaulted back to Cisco's hardware roots, because that's what partners sell is hardware. He left in 2018 to join Five Nines. Then you had Amy Chang came along. Amy Chang came along from the A Company acquisition. She took over from Rowan, left in 2020. Then there was Srivasan. He took over very briefly before handing over to Javed Khan, and Javed's now left. He was the SVP and general manager for Collaboration Group from 2020 onwards until, for the last 4 years. And now he's left or is leaving, and Jitu Patel is sort of holding the fort there. But one thing I could never really understand, David, was you had Javed, who was the senior vice president and GM of collaboration, and then you had Jitu, who was the VP and general manager of security and collaboration, and now, of course, AI. So I don't know where the dividing lines were, but it seems that Jitu is taking over from there.
Yeah. Well, on the bright side, perception of G2 in the analyst community is beyond respect. I mean, I've never heard anyone say anything other than gushing over this gentleman. He's really great. But wow, that's a lot of, he only has 2 feet and those are 6 shoes to fill, if my
Yeah,
math is right.
I'm trying to think back to his history. I believe he was at Box before joining Cisco, and he sort of led the charge in adding AI to Box. And I know that AI is something Cisco, I think Chuck in his last earnings call said that they were going to focus heavily on AI. Of course, I'm wondering if that's too little too late. They're trying to ride the AI wave with predominantly a hardware-based company. Unfortunately, of course, there's been a reduction in force of about 7,000 employees. Sorry,
Mm,
what was it? About 7,000 employees. No, maybe not. I'm trying to think. It was thousands, probably about
yeah.
4,000 employees. So it's been quite a reduction in force. So Cisco is sort of reallocating and reprioritizing based around making Cisco more of a platform play, really. So it's not going to be just hardware. I think Cisco has really struggled. When I was there for 10 years, it tried to give the perception of being a platform. And the Cisco on Cisco story of if you've got Cisco networking and switching and routing gear, it's going to be optimized for collaboration. I think that's been an emerging strategy for them, but it does feel like Cisco needs to have more of a platform play. And I've no doubt that G2 will be sort of leading that charge, and we'll see some announcements a bit further down the line.
It's funny. Not that long ago, I was maybe even less than a year ago. I was kind of making fun of the whole platform. Everyone wants to be platform. Everyone has to be platform. And now I'm like, yeah. Oh, as you're saying that, I'm like, yeah, you're right. They do have to be platform. Not that I was wrong about it, but I kind of belittled it a little bit. I thought I was right, but I thought everyone's making such a big deal out of platform. And yeah, that's what customers want. That's the best. It makes the most sense when you're trying to sell. And back to something else, we're talking about all the shoes that G2 is filling. It kind of makes sense now because now that I think about it, because security is all about AI now, and UC is all about AI now. It's the biggest thing in both of those. So whoever is running security and whoever is running UC has to be their AI person. I mean, it kind of makes sense in a way.
Yeah, I guess it's a bit of a stretch sometimes to I don't know. Cisco's notorious for hardware. Um, I'm not sure it's as sort of prominent in terms of software, and a lot of the collaboration, a lot of the AI and security is a software play. So how they can sort of sell appliances, partner with software providers, and leveraging some of the smarts that Cisco has in its hardware and its operating system. I guess that's for G2 to figure out. But
Yeah.
if they can merge the hardware with the software and make that uh, you know, all dance, then that's the magic. That's what they need to do.
That's exactly right. And I see it as a good news, bad news thing. First of all, on the hardware side, yeah, their hardware rocks. Everyone knows that. That's not an issue. But software is leading. And the good news is they've done the development. I can't imagine how much money they've spent because WebEx is unrecognizable. It's really really good now. Just little things like the AI on the audio is incredible. They're all good. The competitors are good too, but it's really incredible. What they've done with Socio is great. Their contact center stuff blows analyst minds every time they show it to us. So their software is good. They can lead with if software is the way to lead. They have the chops, just like they have the hardware. They have the software. The bad news is the perception. WebEx was bad. I feel bad for saying it because they're nice people, but WebEx was not good for a long time, and people didn't like it for a long time, and it had a bad perception, and people just thought that way of all Cisco hardware, and because of some business decisions they made, like they kept old rusty platforms going for a long time. They might still have millions of people on, what was it, Jabber or something they had,
Yeah, yeah,
because it's making money and the customers want it and it's hard to shift customers. So okay, so what do customers associate Cisco with? Jabber. Which, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe they spent a lot of money updating and it's a gorgeous experience now, but I haven't heard anything about that. So I think people associate Cisco software with old WebEx. and software is the lead now, and Cisco needs to change that perception. They need to get the word out that it's it's not your grandpa's WebEx anymore, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure that putting little logos on the side of Formula One racing cars is really what it's all about. I don't think Cisco has a branding problem. I think if there was money to invest in terms of reallocating resources, I think they should be looking more at solutions marketing than branding. Unfortunately, I think Cisco's done a big turn for the worst, in my opinion, towards branding when it should be solutions marketing. This is how hardware
Mm,
plus software increases the value. And this is our new software now. It's unrecognizable to what it was a number of years ago. And here's the business value. I don't think it's a branding problem. I think it's a solutions marketing problem that they potentially have at the moment. But we shall see what happens. It's going to be an interesting time. And of course, best of luck to Javid in whatever ventures he's doing from now on.
and are you going to be at WebEx One this year?
I don't think I will be, but my colleagues Brent and Pratchett are likely to go.
Oh, okay. Oh, they're both wonderful, and we'll probably get you there remotely. So we'll be sure to follow up on all this. I think that's that's I think it's in October.
I think it's October. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Whew, busy next few months. This is going to be fun. Is anything else you want to mention, or are we good for the weekend?
I think we're good for the weekend. Bring it on. I'm
All
looking forward
right.
to it.
And sorry to everyone for any technical difficulties. I'm still figuring any. I haven't seen anyone in the chat. I think we forgot to promote this week. We'll send them out the replay. And if it turns out that no one ever saw this because it wasn't live, which I don't think is the case, I'm sorry to you, Tim, for wasting your time. But I think we're good.
No, we'll do it
And
again.
awesome. And we'll see you all in 2 weeks. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.